Welcome to the Experience of the Soul podcast with Cynthia Alice Anderson, a weekly show helping you grow, prosper, and evolve. Today, episode 317, Choose Life. And now, Experience of the Soul.
Hello, dear friends, and welcome to the Experience of the Soul podcast. My name is Cynthia Alice Anderson. I am the host, and it is a great Monday here in Orlando, Florida. And I'm here this morning with my producer.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Experience of the Soul podcast. Today is Monday, July 15th, and we are talking today about choosing life. But before we get to that, as always, we want to do a couple of shout outs and thank yous to all of you out there who are supporting us. So today, we want to do a special shout out to everybody who has joined us in the SoulWorks community. Now, we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks, so I'm sure you all pretty much know what it's about now, but it's really going great. It's so great to have this sense of community, this sense of supporting each other. I love how much people are posting their own things and telling us their stories. Isn't that great?
Yes, I love it. And I love that people have asked for support or even advice, a prayer request. I went on the other day after, my sad news, which was, helping my dog transition. We had to go to the vet and, things got really tough at the end of his life the last few days. And I thought, I just want to share this with this community. It's like, and the support for me was pretty amazing. And I appreciated it because usually I'm the one giving the support. And it just felt good to say, this is life. This is what I'm working through. And also to know I'm going to get through it. But, there are downs of life. There definitely are. Yeah. And I love the support of each other. Yes. And people posting their own stuff has been fun. I've learned a lot myself.
Yeah, what a beautiful thing that you're able to get support from it too, to be able to get some of that back when you need it the most. I mean, yeah, that's a tough situation. I'm so sorry that you,
I'm telling you, losing a pet is rough.
It's one of the hardest things. Yeah.
It is, and that dog, I could talk a whole show about the gifts, in my life, my son's life, and it just feels like the house feels really big right now. I'm still, I'm still moving through it. So, yes, the community was very supportive. And if you don't know what we're talking about, Shawn, tell them how to go find that SoulWorks community.
Sure. Yeah, you just want to visit my.soulworkscommunity.com. And of course, there's going to be a link to that in the show notes. There are 2 levels. You can sign, it's, accessible to everybody. So you can sign up and be a part of the community for absolutely free.
Yeah.
And with that, you get to be a part of the community. You can post your own things. You can comment on people's things. You can engage. You can get support and offer support. And then there is that, that little step up level, which comes with extended meditations and the access to the Monday night live talks that we're doing with the live Q&A feedback immediately after. So it's really is excellent. It gets you away from social media. It is a place where, your feed is actually tailored to exactly what you want. I mean, if as far as spiritual support and that kind of stuff. So it's a beautiful thing. So we hope you can join us over there, of course. So thank you to everyone who already has joined us. And that's a big shout out to our SoulWorks community.
Well, and we have a couple other shout outs too, right? We want to shout out to where?
Honolulu, Hawaii.
Honolulu, baby. Gosh, that's special.
Have you been there?
I've never been to Hawaii, never. And I've always wanted to go. It seems like you're in the spirit of it with your Hawaiian shirt today, Shawn.
I know, right? Exactly. Yeah, I got to go in high school. My high school band played in the Hula Bowl halftime show and parade and all that.
What an amazing opportunity as a kiddo.
Yeah, it was incredible. And we got to do all of, we played also at the flag raising at the Arizona Memorial and did a whole bunch of other really cool things and got to see a lot and go to a, authentic luau and those kinds of things. Beautiful. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, so it's honoring friends of you all, of your culture as well. I know there's always a tension between, the commercialization and the real deep earth-based, water-based, spirit-based spiritual understanding there, like it has been with the indigenous peoples all over the country. And so we honor that, and we honor your traditions and your sacred walk as well. It also helps us to know that you're listening and supporting, and we're supporting you right back. So blessings on your journey, and we're grateful to have you along. And hey, I would be happy to come that way. So let me know. Let me know if I can be of service.
I'm going to that one too.
Shawn's like, I think you need me. I think you need
Yeah.
me to film.
Yes, I think I need to be there.
I need to be there. Got to produce it, man.
Yep.
But anyway, friends, thank you from Honolulu. Thank you so much for listening. So thanks again, friends. And I know we do need to move into the show where I'm excited about this show. It's something that I've worked with this idea for many, many years. And probably once a year, every couple of years, I do a show on it. And I just realized, by the way, Shawn, that we're just reached our 6-year mark in terms of being on the air. We started as the Authentic Spiritual Journey, and just the channel was called Experience of the Soul. And it's gone through different derivations and shows and offerings. And so I just want to acknowledge Dave Croft and all his great work, who was the producer for the first five and a half years, and just honor him and his new path. And he and I are still very connected and friends and all that. But I did want to honor him and also move forward into our show today, which is, Shawn, give us the title for that.
Yeah, sure. Yep. We are at episode 317, and we are talking about choosing life. Choose life.
Choose life. Yes. Yes. I had a dear friend many years ago. This is before I was a minister, and I heard him speak. It was at a Unity Church in Seattle. And this gentleman, his name is Reverend Richard Mirage, but I heard him speak, and he was talking about saying yes to life. And I was touched by his story because he had been a teenager basketball star and was in an automobile accident that left him paralyzed from the waist down. And of course, he could no longer play basketball, and his life was, forever changed. That said, he began to look at life differently. That accident changed him profoundly, and he found new ways to choose life. So it wasn't the life he thought he was going to have, but he began to choose life. He even told a story of his sister helping him, from a wheelchair, throw a basketball in the hoop, and, trying to find places of joy. And it touched me so deeply because I thought, am I just going along in life and not choosing a life? Then, not too long after that, I moved to Kansas City to become a minister, and came across an old cassette tape. I don't know if anybody remembers cassette tapes besides me. I guess I'm getting older. And
I'm there with you.
You're right. You remember cassette, and 8 tracks too. But I ran across a cassette tape, and I had heard of this woman. Her name was Reverend Sharon Poindexter, and she had been a Unity minister and was a profound teacher, healer, had been very successful in the business world. Happened to be a Black woman with just a great deal of knowledge and wisdom. And a friend of mine had worked with her for years as supporting her, and then was her personal assistant toward the end of her life. So one of her cassettes was called Yes to Life. Then she had another one called Words of Life. And I realized that the universe, as we might say, spirit, God, was trying to give me a message. And what was that message? That in every moment, I have a choice. Every moment, I have a choice. I can choose life, or I cannot choose life. And of course, if we're not choosing life, we're really choosing, this sounds intense, but I'm going to say it, we're really choosing death. Are we making yes to life choices, or are we making no to life choices? That's a direct quote from Reverend Sharon. She said in that recording, I remember so distinctly, she said, have you ever thought that when you get in your car and don't put on your seatbelt, that is a no to life choice? Have you thought about if you're still stuck in an addiction? Maybe it's smoking, maybe it's drinking, maybe it's a drug use. That is a no to life decision. And each choice like that you make, you're creating a lifestyle, a vibe, an energy, an awareness. You are saying to the universe, this is how I want to walk through the world. And so, what I took from that and what I have been practicing ever since, 25 years, is in this situation right now, how can I choose life? How can I choose life? And it's hard when, you're faced with choices that are perhaps difficult for you. Maybe there are choices like the choice I just had to make. I just want to speak about it because we were just talking earlier about my beloved Chance, our dog that recently died. That choice to help him transition to the next life. It was, even though he died, it was a choosing life choice. Does that make sense? Because I knew to keep him alive as he was not helpful to him. And so even in cases of death, you can choose life. I knew that he would be healthy. I knew that he would be strong on the other side. I knew that he would be free of pain on the other side. So even though there was a death, I was still really choosing life for him. And it was a hard choice. So, I mean, life is not a straight line. We love to think that we're just living life and we do this and then we do that and then we do that. And then, all is perfectly well. Well, if you are connected to any other human being at all besides yourself, you know that not only do you have ups and downs in life, that everyone around you does too. And those ups and downs impact you. So the idea today is to keep in our consciousness the idea that I can choose life in every moment, in every situation. So, I mean, I'm sure you're probably already doing this. I've heard so much from our listeners that as I'm speaking, you're really applying it to yourself in your own life, and you're thinking, "Wow, was that a yes to life decision?" When yeah. Many years ago, I had a nephew who was he'd been in drug addiction and really trying to do well for himself. And, it was really up and down, up and down. I'd help him. Then he would go on a little bit, do well, and then he'd go into addiction again. And I was able to help him for a time. And I finally had to say, I love you. I let you go. And I want you to choose you. I keep choosing you and you keep choosing drugs. You keep choosing this no to life activity. You keep choosing to use and to be in this environment and to keep these friends. So rather than expecting me to come and pick up all your mess after this addiction, I'm going to let you deal with it this time. So, this is after months and years and many conversations of supporting, of helping. And it got to the point where me helping him was choosing his life over my life. The stress, the financial strain, the late night phone calls with him on drugs and everything else. And interestingly, he has gotten sober. But the only way he got sober was himself choosing life. Like no one can choose that for you. So even in me removing my seeming support, which really had become enabling over the years, I had to step back and let him choose life. Because until he himself made the choice for his own life, his own soul, his own awareness, he could simply not move forward. And interestingly, he, at a very young age, was successful as a chef. He worked at Emerald's in Atlanta and just did very, very well. And then, the addiction just took him down. And now he's back doing very, very well, over 4 restaurants. And he's very young. He's in his 30s. And yeah, so why am I saying all this? Well, I could not choose life for him, only he could choose life. Friends, that's even true for our children. We can provide the environment, we can provide the support, we can provide the help, but eventually they have to choose their own path. We can help, we can support, we can lift up, we can guide at times, but it does get to the point where each person has to decide for themselves, am I going to choose life? And I see all the time people walking around that their energy is dead. They hate their jobs. They only work to have money. They live to get drunk or high on the weekend. And this is their existence. And this is, just where they are in consciousness. But I can tell you that all of those choices I just mentioned, only working for money, waiting to get drunk and high on the weekend, these are low vibration, low level choices that are no to life choices, not yes to life. Because when you work a job you don't like, you're stressed out. When you work a job you don't like, you're short and frustrated with the people around you. And then when you get drunk and all this stuff on the weekends, guess what? Yeah, those are no to life choices. Those are no to life choices. So friends, even though I love my nephew deeply, the best way I could choose life and help him choose life was to remove my energy and support, because the truth is it got to the point that I was helping him so much. As I mentioned, it wasn't really support, it became enabling. And if I'm enabling another, I'm not choosing life for myself. I'm choosing to be wrapped up in somebody else's drama instead of asking, what am I to be creating right now? So the good thing is, as I mentioned, he's doing very well these days and choosing life. And, I talk to him every now and then. I'll say, how's it going? He says, every day I still have to choose. I said, understood. And I said, what we all do. Nobody magically grows up and just gets everything right. That's why it's called a journey. That's why it's called a journey. So I just want you to think about, how am I ordering my life, and are my choices yes to life choices? For instance, if you're working a job you do not like, if you're working a job just for the money, and you can't wait to get done with that work to escape through whatever way you escape, whether it's food or alcohol or whatever, those are no to life choices. And they're no to life choices because if you work a job you don't like just for the money, you end up getting angry, you end up getting frustrated, not only with yourself, with everybody around you. Your blood pressure goes up, you get ulcers and everything else. And all of these signs of the body are telling you these are no to life choices. And it's crazy how crazy might not be the right word. It's really, to me, interesting. It is complex. It is profound. It is amazing how the body reflects our spiritual, mental, and emotional process. Let me say it that way. So you will know by how you feel in the body if you're making a yes to life choice. If you're choosing life, your body will tell you. 1, you laugh easier. 2, you're more at ease. 3, little things don't make you angry. 4, you flow with life. If you're making no to life choices, everything bothers you. Everything takes you 0 to 60 emotionally. You're ready to take somebody out for saying the wrong thing or making a mistake or spilling something on the counter. So friends, some of these ideas sometimes can sound like, oh yeah, well, of course I choose life. But sometimes the choices are really minute, and sometimes the choices are very subtle. Remember several episodes ago when I talked about the shows we watch. Remember I said that those images, those ideas, they're almost insidious the way they move in. I was really talking about this same topic. What are you going to choose? Are you going to choose things that lift you up, that support you, that move you forward? And I'm not saying everything has to be rated G that you watch. I'm just saying that you want to be conscious about what it is you bring into your life and world. I mean, like, I love Mission Impossible movies, but those aren't really based in reality. Right. I love Mission Impossible movies because it's like so fantastical, the stuff they do. And Tom Cruise's stunts are just ridiculous. But I love the adventure of them. But do I watch them every day? No, I don't watch them every day. But it's not a rated G movie either. But it gives me time to rest and relax and recoup myself and watch somebody else running through an entire movie. So I'm just saying we want to be conscious of our decisions. Are those decisions moving us into life, into love, into joy, into peace, or not? Or not? And I want to say, once again, I want to really magnify this idea a little bit, that the body really reflects if we're making yes to life choices or no to life choices. Fatigue, irritability, headaches, neck aches, stomach aches, strange illnesses that doctors can't figure out. These are often related to repeated no to life choices. I was just talking with a group at Unity North Tampa the other day, and we were talking about how this same idea. And I said, what happens if you worry a lot? What happens in your stomach? Somebody said acid. I said, yeah, you can work yourself into an ulcer or acid reflux or anything else. So I said, your body is telling you that this behavior is causing stress. And a while back I had asked, this is a few years ago actually, I talked to a acupuncturist, a chiropractor, a naturopath, a homeopath, and an ER doctor. And I asked them all the same question with no background. And I said, what is the number one issue in your practice that you help people with? And they all said one word: stress. Stress. So there's also a great book. One is called, and Shawn, I did not put this in the show notes. I didn't know I was going to go here quite this much on the body, but it's really coming through to share this. It's called Your Body Keeps the Score. And then there's another one by Deb Shapiro. I'm trying to think of the name of it. I'll figure it out and we can put it in the show notes later. But
okay.
Or you can look it up. The first one is Your Body Keeps the Score. And it's basically explaining how how no to life choices, in other words, choices that are not in alignment with creativity, with love, with peace, with joy, how they bring stress to the body and its impact. And that everything, and this has been studied, everything that we experience emotionally, psychologically, is stored in the body. Go ahead, Shawn. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, no, yeah, I found it. So it is, the body keeps the score: brain, mind, and body in the healing of trauma.
Yes, right. So, and then if you don't mind looking up a book by Deb Shapiro, and I can't believe I can't think of it. That's the one I'm actually most familiar with. But that is a great, great book and came in a real important time in my journey when I was healing from a significant health issue.
Your body speaks your mind.
Yes, your body
decoding.
No, go ahead.
Decoding the emotional, psychological, and spiritual messages that underline illness is the tagline.
Well, and yes, and interestingly, I think it's even in the introduction of that book. It's been years since I read it, but it was so profoundly impacted me. I said, she's saying in modern day terms what Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, who founded Unity, were saying back in the day. And it was interesting because writing this book, she kept having this issue with her hip and kept kind of trying to work around it and was finally like, what is this trying to tell me? And you can literally dialogue with pain, with illness, with parts of the body to help release those things. As a matter of fact, I sometimes do that in my one-to-one sessions. If somebody's dealing with something physical, I say, well, tell me, when this started. And it's often directly related to a mental, emotional, or spiritual state. And those are all so closely aligned. So thank you, Shawn. That's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great.
I'll put those in the show notes for sure.
That's great. Yeah. So it's what I'm saying, friends, is Every choice has a psychological, emotional, spiritual, and even physical impact to you. And I've learned along the journey that I want my life to be full of joy, of ease, and of grace. I am still unlearning the idea, I will be honest, I am still unlearning the idea that life has to be a struggle. And day by day, I'm still choosing a life. That story I talked about with my nephew, who I love dearly, I had to choose life and move away because I was trying to live his life for him. And in doing that, I was not living my own life. I gave him the opportunity to choose life, and he did. And then I got to choose life for myself. So I want you to really be honest, be vulnerable with yourself, my friends, as you're thinking about this. Am I really choosing life? Am I going to work every day and my stomach hurts? Or am I coming home every day and have migraines so bad I can't see and have to stay in bed half the night and just binge on Netflix? Something is out of balance if that's happening. Somehow we need a new choice for you. I say we. You need a new choice for you. So I want to talk, though, a little bit about how to work with some of that and how to get out of it. And I just wanted to talk enough about all the different ways I apply this idea to my own life. Sometimes it's with how I spend money. You know, I took a couple days vacation recently, which is rare for me to do by myself. And I was standing in line for a sunset cruise, and a young man walked up to me who was raising money, him and a friend, for their youth program. And, you could give online or whatever. And the woman in front of us said, "Oh, no, I'm not going to give to that." So anyway, he asked me, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to choose life right here. Everybody says help each other, but then there's an opportunity and we just kind of shoo people away. And that young man was so proud and lifted up at the amount I gave him. And I was there with a friend and she gave the same as well. And it was a wonderful experience to see how this yes to life choice helped another and made me feel good. That rest of that cruise I enjoyed because I was just in the moment. I felt like I had helped somebody that was going to really do something good with the help I provided. Right? So for me, that was a yes to life choice. I love being able to do that. So it can affect you financially when I give to my church or the organizations that I support. Like I do a little bit of what's called microfinance or micro investing, where I give to people in other countries who are starting their own business, and you can reinvest, when the loan is paid back, you can reinvest. And I've never taken any money back. I always reinvest it in somebody else. And there's over a 90% payback rate. So sometimes, you're investing as little as $25, $50, $100, and what that can do for people in other countries. And you can help people in America also. Anyway, that's one of the ways I choose life. Instead of giving a lot of money to somebody begging, I give money to somebody creating something new. I used to always give to people begging, but I have shifted in that a little bit because I'm so much about creation and bringing life into the world that I love supporting someone who is seeking to live a better life and doing something about it. So my dollars, go there. So even though I tithe to my spiritual nourishment, I also am giving to other people, places, and organizations if they lift me up, like those type of organizations I mentioned. There are a number of them. The one I learned about very first of all was called the Heifer Project, which I've given to since I was a teenager. So anyway, I want you to think about that. Even in my finances, am I choosing life? People that have supported this show have said to me, "I feel so good supporting you because you're getting positive messages out all over the world, and that's what we need." So that's an example. One of our listeners just told me that 4 or 5 days ago. So think about that. Are you doing that in your financial life? Are you doing that in your emotional life? Are you choosing life? Are you getting caught up in trauma drama? Are you, when we were little, we called it playing the telephone game. You call somebody to call somebody to call somebody and spread gossip all over, or are you taking time to be alone, to pray, to do your journaling, to set your goals, to support a friend? So supporting a friend's great, but spreading gossip all over town, friends, it's not an energy you want. So see, think about that. In which area, in all these areas of my life, rather, how am I choosing life? So it's not just one area. It's not just emotional. It's not just financial. It's not just in my relationships. In every area, in your food, are you choosing life? Are you eating food that is so processed, it is damaging your body? Reverend Sharon Poindexter, who I mentioned earlier, she had a love of that, of junk food, and she called it going to Food Alley. There's always those roads that have McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, all in a row. She called those Food Alley. And I can tell you that I do not put that stuff in my body. It does not react well. I know it's a no to life thing by the way my body responds. So yes, so just think about that. Choosing life is a choice to be made in every area of your life. The body reflects our yes to life or no to life choices. If you aren't sure when you make a choice, if you aren't sure, your body will let you know. Your body will let you know. And that brings me to several things I want to wrap up. I know today's a little bit longer show, but for me, this topic is so important because of how it impacts every area. And many of you know I love music and I love to share playlists. And I put a number of songs in the show notes. And all of these songs really elevate me. They're popular songs. They're not quote unquote Christian. Some are spiritual. I would say they all have a spiritual component. Like one is called Worry No More. One is called Darling. One is called Look Up. One is called Blue Sky Mind. But I'm putting them in there because I want you to really be able to have other resources besides me talking at the podcast. I want you to be able to have music you can listen to going down the road that elevates your mind into different ways of thinking, that elevate your mind into life. So much of our culture today, and I know I talk about this a lot, but it's so true. So much of our culture today is telling us what is wrong with us. And I'm trying to say what is right with you, what is good about you. And so the songs I'm always going to lift up for you that I'm going to send you are songs that will support your day. And just this morning I shared, Shawn, I don't know if you've had a chance to see it on the network yet on the SoulWorks, but was the song by Joy Oladokun called Look Up. And, it really talks, one of the lines is, life is like a broken roller coaster, but then it goes on and it says, but, look up. It's great. Look
Love
up.
it.
Do you see
Yeah.
the sunlight, right? Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That
Another
brings
song-
tears to my eyes today. I don't know why. Go ahead, Shawn. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say another song that came to my mind actually while you were talking today is the Yes to Life.
Oh, with the Eddie Watkins
Jr. song. Yeah. That's a great tune.
That's a great tune. We can add that on there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's add that on there. And what I like about all these tunes, interestingly, they come from very different traditions. They're, some of the artists are Jewish, some are Hindu, some are Black, some are white. It's like these ideas that we talk about on the show, they are universal spiritual principles of living a good life. That's what I love about it. So friends, my hope for you is that you use some of the music to help with this choice, number one, but it'll also remind you of your connection to God and all that is. You all know that my number one most important thing in my life and world is my connection to God. And I've done shows about it recently because of how my connection to God decides all of my other relationships. And I know if I nurture that connection, if I spend time every day, tapping in, asking God, what is my I am for the day? What is my highest spiritual idea? And set that intention that I am setting before me a great expansion and a great awareness of a spiritual idea, and that God is going to send me opportunities, choices, ways, ideas of getting lifted, of getting supported, and support for that intention. So think about how, even am I starting my day? Am I starting connected to God, or am I plugged in right away? As soon as I wake up, I'm looking at my feed on one of the various social medias. Now, that's fine if you do that, but I want you to encourage you to go to God first. Look at social media later, because then you'll have your right energy and your right spirit on board to be able to take in what messages that you choose consciously to have in your mind and in your heart and in your soul. So my hope for you, dear friends, is that you choose life, and that any no to life decisions you're limiting, so that your life can be full of grace and joy and peace. This is always our goal here at Experience of the Soul. It's my goal for my own life. And it is often the very smallest choices, the choices you make in quiet and silence when no one else is around. And those choices are going to give you a life of joy, of grace, of peace, of wholeness, of love. All good. So my friends, thank you so much for joining me today. My prayer is you choose life, and I bless you on the journey, dear friend, and look forward to seeing you next week.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Experience of the Soul podcast with Cynthia Alice Anderson, helping you grow, prosper, and evolve. This podcast is made possible because of listeners and viewers just like you. If you would like to support the podcast with your tax-deductible contribution on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head on over to experienceofthesoul.com/support. The Experience of the Soul podcast is copyright 2024 Cynthia Alice Anderson, all rights reserved, and is produced by Shawn Kilgore. A production of the SoulWorks Group, Incorporated.